Good morning, welcome to Homestead for a Living. Right now we have some escapee goats. They have very easily jumped the 4-foot fence that I just built, and it's no secret that goats are escape artists. They are little Houdinis on 4 legs. But it's no big deal. We've got a secure paddock we can lock them in. So what I've been doing is whenever I'm outside, I just open up the gates and let them run free. They tend to stay close, even though they're a little bit skittish still since we didn't raise them. They seem to know that I'm the guy that can kill predators and stuff, so they don't like me, but they stick close. So there's no issues, and as soon as I rattle a can of goat feed, that's just like I said in another video, it's goat crack to them. They're very addicted and they'll do anything to get it, so they just follow me right back in. So it's no issue that they're running around while I'm working outside. So I've been taking advantage and letting them run around, and then I go to where they've been browsing and I start to see what have they been chewing on. And this is really going to inform, sorry, just walked into a spider web. This is really going to inform my decisions as I design the property, as I make pastures, as I figure out what is going to be their main feed sources. Now, of course, goats, like everything, they love perennial browse especially, but they have their preferences, and usually when an animal prefers food, it's for good reason, because there's some minerals, some nutritional content, or just high protein. So then I can really make my planting decisions for pastures accordingly. So as we go through, we can kind of just do some detective work and look at what they've been browsing on and really enjoying. They have been certainly loving the sumac. They have been surprising me by chewing on loblolly pine. That did not occur to me that they liked that. So that's good to know, something I did not know. The wild lettuce has been getting a lot of browse. Greenbrier, it's been good to see them eating a lot of vining plants. They definitely love maple. They love oak, which is all really good things because those can be coppiced or pollarded, where you chop off the tree and then it comes back again eventually with, well, let's just go look at an example of that rather than explain it. Here's one right here that's coppiced. This is actually, over here we have an accidental one. This was just cut, this wasn't intended to be this, but you can see the stump is down at the bottom and then all this shrubby growth has come back. And you don't have to do that at ground level. You can do that at a higher level where that tree will then kind of grow outwards and be at a good level for those goats to jump up on their hind legs and reach. So all of this, as I do this detective work and make this mental list of plants that these goats like to eat and prefer before the other ones, that's going to inform my decisions as I lay out my pastures, as I do rotational grazing, and as I replant things and as I plant along swale lines, because we're going to have kind of a mixture of systems going here where there's going to be a little bit of silvopasture incorporated, where we're mixing pasture with trees, and then a lot of rotational grazing with electric poultry or electric netting, where we'll move them around the property, and we'll also bring them into logging projects. When we clear off an area, they'll get either the branches will be thrown into the paddock or they'll be left to roam around where we just logged off to eat all of those branches. And so as I plant, and I'll take this into consideration, I might say, okay, lots of maples and lots of oaks, and those grow prolifically here, and I can really mold those trees to the shapes I want to make them within the reach of these goats. So I might just line pastures with those trees, or when I'm cutting, I'll select for those trees and leave them. And this applies to any animals. We've done this with chickens, and oftentimes we're surprised by what they like. A while back, the chickens got through the garden, and the thing they liked the most, surprisingly, was catnip. So now I have to research catnip and see if there's something in there, if there's more protein than I thought, if there's just some minerals in there that they like and need. But they ate that before anything, and so that's something I would not have known except through observation. So letting your animals, your livestock, run through your most diverse area, your brushiest, forestiest area, is highly beneficial. And it's going to give you the biggest picture of what they like to eat. And if you have areas on your property that are maybe kind of like, here's a swamp area, it's got a whole bunch of different plants that have nothing to do with the plants you've got over on a dry ridge. If you've got kind of like microclimates around your property, you might try to let those animals graze through those spots too, so you can see the whole gamut of plants that they like to eat. But that's really useful information to have. And this will apply to any livestock, whether it's cattle or chickens or ducks, anything. We try to really watch all of them. So these goats will just continue to roam throughout the day, and I'm just going to kind of follow behind on in between farm tasks and see what they've been munching on. I'll make a mental list, and then that's just going to really inform my decisions going forward. And it's going to help me build a much better pasture, because in the case of goats, they don't really want to eat grass, kind of like chickens. They're really more into the perennials, into the forest type growth. And so that's going to allow us to design a system where instead of farming on a two-dimensional plane, just growing grass where roots go that deep and we just get that little bit of topsoil, instead we can utilize these trees, which are going to shoot roots 30, 40, 50 feet underground, tap into minerals and nutrients deep underground that have been there for many, many centuries or millennia. And I'm getting to extract those and turn them into protein, turn them into milk or goat meat or whatever the animals are. And that's expanding my farm, but instead of expanding my farm outwards, I'm expanding downwards and upwards, and I'm getting a whole, literally farming in an extra dimension. And it's a way that anybody on any size space can expand their farm. expanded into that third dimension. So hopefully that's a useful tip for everybody. And like I said, I think it really does apply to any animal in any system. Observation is really one of the keys in permaculture, is being in nature, observing what happens, and then basing your decisions on that. So hopefully that's a useful hint for everybody. In the meantime, y'all, stay safe, be well, and happy homesteading.